raining to get to the meeting, so
Yeah.
don't mind me. Well, Frankie, if
Yeah.
you're not feeling so hot, we'll just keep it short. Or if you just
No
want to say
worries.
hi and then,
Whatever. I'm already here. I already got up from the couch and I sat here. I might as well just stick around.
Lloyd, I was gonna say, Lloyd, I thought about you this week when I was doing my auditions because an Herbalife
Oh my god.
came out.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Did
uh,
we talked about that?
yeah, we did. And so I was just laughing because I was like, well, money's money.
Well, you know what's funny? It's funny you bring that up. I don't know if I'll see it now. You know, how Facebook will be like, 5 years ago, you posted this. Blah blah.
Yes.
I have been getting a ton of memories from when I worked at an Herbalife place.
Oh
And
my
one of the
God.
requirements was every day we worked, we had to post on social media about it.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
And so I keep getting these like cringe like memories. I'm like, yo, what was I get that I was trying to make money, but damn,
Yeah.
ew.
Yeah. I listened to
Ah,
some auditions that I've done starting off just with like from like getting the commercial demo. And then I've gone back and listened to some of them and I'm like, ew, what was I thinking? How did I even send that in? But it's the same with podcasting too. Like your first like 20 podcasts are like, oh yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of which, I think we're into our 20s here with our we're well into the 20s at this
Oh, yeah,
point.
25. I just uploaded 25.
It's
Yeah.
funny because my parents, it's so funny because my parents are like torn because I'm pretty sure we've talked about how like with like my friend Stacy and our personal like Broke Black and Board podcast.
Yes.
We can't do it in the way we want to right now, quality wise. So we've been taking a break. And my mom was like, well, you're not going to do Broke Black and Board. I'm going to have to boycott the other one.
Oh my God.
She's like, we're going to cancel you in this house.
Oh my God. Your own mother canceled you.
I'm like, that's not really how that works, but okay. Well, it's like,
Yeah. It's hard to juggle like everything, it's hard to juggle like all of it. Yeah, moms are like that though, sometimes we have to like play the mom card, right? We gotta like, I said something to my teenager and he's like, why are you on me? And I'm like, sometimes I have to be your mom. And he's like, I don't know if I told you this before. And he's like, you're always my mom. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like that's not the point. The point was you need to listen to me.
I mean, communication is a thing, but he does have a point. I don't know.
Sometimes your mother can see like, possibilities that, you might not
Right.
necessarily see past, but just trying to figure it out and trying to, make it work. So you could do one once a month, you could do.
Yeah,
I know.
don't know. We just so badly want to do it weekly and we want to do video, but the level of video that we want to do would be too time consuming for us to like do without giving up everything else in life.
I know we've talked about that. That's why like sometimes when you have like an idea, it's like sometimes if you want it to, if you want to stick with that idea and it's still something you're excited about, and other people are excited about, maybe not, maybe sticking with what you already have instead of making changes, you know what I'm saying? And just doing what you're already doing.
Yeah.
And then later down the road, make those changes when it comes up instead of trying to force the change, I guess. Because I find when I go against the grain and I have like an idea in my head and it doesn't work out the way that I want it to work out, then I realize like making those changes is probably not the best time right now,
Yeah. It
And
just feels weird because it's like we would be taking a step backwards to do it the way we can do it now versus how we were doing.
yeah, I know it's hard. It's hard to take a step backwards.
Yeah.
The universe is mysterious in its way.
Yeah. Super this is
Go ahead.
related, but you made me think of it. Because we're not talking about the universe. You just brought up the universe and it made
Yes.
my head go. Did you know? Maybe I've ranted about this before, but there's this whole thing where people are like, what's scarier, space or the ocean? And it's like definitely the ocean, because the ocean is here and space is out there, and if anything were coming, then we would either know or not know by the time it got here. But they're trying to build a telescope that would allow them to see, because of the way that light travels, nothing's faster than light, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So anything we're looking at in the sky might not even be there anymore. A lot of the stars in the sky that you look at are not there anymore. But
yes, my life has just changed. Like, what?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Because
Oh
the
my
light
God.
hasn't the light hasn't gotten here from those bodies that have long since been gone.
Okay.
But they're building a telescope, or trying to build a telescope, that would allow them to see essentially so far that it would be and this is like a terrible way of explaining it. Somebody who's an actual scientist would explain this better, but
Right.
for layman terms, see so far that you could see past where the light came from to like before the Big Bang, so we could see what was there before the big. And I'm just like, we can do this, but we can launch missiles at rock. We can I can't talk. We can launch missiles at rockets at asteroids, and we can't go to the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
That's ridiculous to me. I feel like they don't want to go to the bottom of the
So
ocean.
so what if the bottom of the ocean really is just like the top of the world? You know what I'm saying? So like, what if there really isn't a bottom, and maybe like, not to like throw like some wrenches in it, that might have even made sense. But piggybacking off of that, my 9-year-old, I was going to save this for an upcoming podcast, but I'll just share it with you now. My 9-year-old and I were walking, and he was riding his bike, and it was dark out, and the moon is about to be full, but it's not all the way full. And he looked up at it, and he goes, what if that's just the breaking point? Like, what if that is just a small hole in a dome that we're in, and it just every so often opens up a little bit, and and then closes a little bit? And what if, really it's, I'm like, oh my God, it takes like a 9-year-old to like come up with like a new conspiracy theory that just, yeah. Anyways,
Well, what's like, really funny, and I do remember I did rant about this because I ranted about it last week, because I remember Frankie making a point about the underwater movie. Now that I think about it,
what was that? Because that was a really long conversation, and
yeah,
not really sure where we left off.
Or yeah, I don't remember what was going on in my head at that point. But what I was going to say in regards to what your son was just saying, it's funny because on Reddit, there's a subreddit called No Sleep, and it is exclusively scary stories. And for some reason, despite being super paranoid about scary stuff and entirely wholeheartedly believing in certain things, I go to this subreddit and I read stuff. And for some reason, I specifically look for ocean stories. And I hate the ocean. I absolutely loathe the ocean. But it's funny because there's a story that someone wrote like a month and a half ago, and it was about these divers who got a signal from like this trench in the ocean, and it was like, don't go down there, like don't come down here. And then they went down there, and they went through this hole, and they came back up to the surface where they had come from. So it was like they went down there and there was nothing there, but then they got another signal that was like, we told you not to go down there, now they know you're here. And the whole like
is this
idea
real?
No, well, all of these stories are written in first person. Like they're supposed to, well, not entirely written, they're supposed stories, to be taken, everyone acts like they're real regardless of whether they're not. So like when people are commenting, they'd be like, you really should have made a different decision here. And then like the person who wrote the story never responds to that comment, and we're like, oh,
are they still alive?
Yeah,
okay. I have to tell you, I constantly, when we get off these calls and like for days later, I like have these conversations in my head about like what we were talking about. And I'm like, I always come to the same conclusion. One, I don't know enough about hardly anything. And two, I don't know enough about hardly anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I never know enough. And then like, it feels like so overwhelming to know that there's so much out there to know about and learn about and go places, and with the internet and everything, I get overwhelmed. I just don't do it. Like, I don't go on, like I go on YouTube intermittently to get, to look up a client company, or to see if they already have something, or I go on Facebook to share a post about the podcast, maybe like a couple people's something or other, and then I'm off. Like I can't even process Reddit. Like I can't, that's like so far, like makes my brain hurt. Like I can't. And the TikTok, oh, don't even get me started on TikTok and Twitter. Whew, don't even get me started on Twitter. Like I'm like, I can't.
To be fair, Reddit can be a lot more tame than people think it is, as long as you stick to the corners of Reddit because every topic on Reddit is under like a specific thing. So there's like no sleep, where you go for scary stories, r/no sleep, or like there's a subreddit. Actually, I'm not gonna
talk about it.
No, it's
okay,
weird.
We're not talking about it. Okay.
No, I'm not saying I'm not going to talk about it. I'm saying no, that I didn't know where my head was going.
Oh, okay.
There's like r/public freakout, where it's like literally just videos of people doing crazy things in public. Or there's like r/made me smile, and it's just like super cute, wholesome videos. Or like r/ like it's split into topics. You don't have to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, but it's just another place to go to, it's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just everything is a lot.
Yeah.
Frankie, were you going to interject into there?
I was just thinking about like my own, like, I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure or like rabbit hole moments, because I have many and they are weird. I mean, the thing is, I'm like a very much a visual person. So I like reading is not so much my thing, or like listening as well. Funny enough, this is a podcast. But I like on YouTube, there are like people that read the Reddit stories.
Oh my God, really?
Scary ways. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I also like the
oh my God.
like the Ring camera videos.
Oh my God.
Like the scary Ring camera videos. Like I love all that stuff. And it's so weird when I get caught up in like just going down the rabbit hole of these like video, one after the other, after the other, after the other. It's funny the things that that you get like captured by.
I have to piggyback off of that. That's hilarious. The people post those ring videos, and I think it's like your own personal ring, right? And then you share it, right?
There was but they make compilations on
YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And Ring themselves actually has like a long playlist. Like the company, they have a YouTube channel. It's just clips from people's Ring cameras that they submitted.
Okay, so that's okay. Going off of scary stuff, we have Ring. Like all of our new houses are all smart houses, and my husband just hates it because he's just like, I just want to do the thermostat the way I want to do it. I don't want to have to go through the blah blah blah. Like that's how he is. And then same with the Ring, but it's convenient, because you can see someone going in and out of your house. Well, one night, like the doorbell, it kept going off like consecutively. Frankie, I might have told you this off record at some point, and it kept going off, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a cocktail, and my husband was like, I was like, I think it's a ghost, and so we couldn't see anything, right? And it kept happening. And then come to find out, he was convinced it was a ghost. I was convinced it was a ghost, and it was just eerie, right? Well, come to find out, it must have been a spider web, right? That was like coming down. That's what we were told. But we have lizards that are big enough. My friend just told me there are lizards that look kind of like a snake, but they have like a snake head, but like a lizard body. And they're, a couple inches, whatever, but they will literally like hit, and trigger stuff, or other lizards will trigger stuff too. So, and spiders are big enough to like, but I was like, I was convinced that there was a ghost standing outside my door. I was convinced. And then here's a funny Ring story, and my husband's gonna kill me, but we go on bike rides, and we were riding down the road, and he tooted so loud that I swear to God that he must have set off someone's Ring. And I was like, Seriously. I mean, because some people they have theirs pointing out so that their cone hits the whole street, right?
Yeah.
We have ours like a little bit more in, but I was
Mhm.
like, somebody picked that up and they're posting it. They're posting it. They picked that up on their ring and they posted
You
it.
can put it in the neighbors app or something.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
I love all that stuff. There are funny ones. I like the scary ones the most, I think.
Yeah, I
Which
don't know what it
is
is about people and scary stuff.
I know.
I literally went on a whole rant about that this week with one of my
Yeah.
friends about how I hate I mean, it's one thing, evidently this friend has like looked into it, and evidently there's research to support that
what are we talking about?
scary
Scary
stuff
things.
actually releases like dopamine for some reason.
Mm.
And like so it is actually healthy for people to watch scary stuff.
Mm.
And like it helps people with depression and what have it, which is interesting considering the like drastic rise in people who like scary shit. But
Right.
then there's the whole like, I don't know, I think collectively obsession or like romanticizing of scary stuff is weird.
Mhm.
It's that's a very difficult line to draw for people.
I
Yeah.
still don't get, like, if someone says don't go there, then why do people still go? Like that doesn't make common sense to me. That like that you're not following the rules. We're back to the rules.
Well,
Like don't go there. I don't
like,
know. Like
You
don't,
mean like in movies and stuff? Like when
yeah,
it
you
says
hear a
like don't
scary, thump, 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 and it's like in your brain, you're like, I probably should not go upstairs, right?
Mhm.
Or like they said, don't go there to
I
the
have a
bottom of the
story
ocean.
about not going. So there's a house here in Vegas called, well, I don't actually know if this is the actual name, but it goes by the name of La Palazza, and it's actually been on the show Ghost Adventures.
Cool.
When I was in high school, my cousin and I think I told you guys, like, my family has like a weird history with the supernatural, but my cousin and I like were really big in like trying to go find things. And it was so funny because it was stupid. Like I had this like I was raised in a church. So I had this little like leather wristband. It said like he's greater than I. And in my mind, I was like, as long as I have this wristband, I'll always be okay. Well, one of my friends had gone to this house with someone that I knew from middle school, but I didn't like, because we were in high school, so I didn't associate with the other person. But they went to this house and they were like kind of exploring, and when they were leaving, they like left and like took a picture to like prove they had gone, and this was like a cell phone in like 2009 or 10, like, and this friend, definitely not like a photo editing Photoshop type person. In the picture, in the front door, which is open, there's someone there, but it's not like someone who's like a completely corporeal physical person.
That was a big
But,
word.
like, you can
That's
tell.
a big word.
Corporeal?
That's a big word.
I
don't even think I could say it.
Oh my! Try it. Corporeal.
Corporeal.
There we go.
Okay. It's because you taught me how to do it.
Hey, you got it.
Okay, so it's not back to the corporeal.
Oh yeah, so we went to this place. After we went, because he had this picture, we went to this place. And the thing is, like, it's always been like this big, like, somewhat urban legend-esque, because there's like this whole story about how a previous owner was, at least this is the story that they like told on like Ghost Adventures, for instance, that like one of the previous owners was attacked by an unseen force in front of guests. So like there were witnesses. Now the current owner says that it's not haunted and has never been haunted, but it was so bad that when you go, I don't know if it's like this anymore, but when you would go to this house, while it was empty, the street would, like, there would be people driving around, like looking for their chance to go to this house, because the neighbors would call the cops. when people like, so when we went, it's literally like these cars like driving by, you know, and kind of like looking across the street, and we like sat there and just waited for cars to stop coming and going, and like went into like the backyard of this house because it's open and they're supposed to be doing work or whatever, and we're sitting there talking, and there's nothing behind this house's backyard that I remember, but there's like this shed, and we're standing there talking, and we could hear footsteps, and it was very clear that there was nobody there. And one of my friends, who was absolutely not trying to go in the first place, we kind of dragged him. It's like, nope, nope, and we were just like, fuck it, we're all leaving. And we left. A couple weeks later, the friend who had gone there by himself, well, not by himself, with the other person when he went the first time, was sitting at home in his room on the second floor of their house, and something hit the window in a way that like doesn't make sense to hit a window with that much force. And if it had been a bird, that bird would have been dead on the ground.
So
and so it was this whole thing, because like there were other like that was the main thing that was like, what the fuck. But there was like for a while after, he felt like he was like, just like had an eerie feeling at home, and like, yeah, let's just not go places when people say don't go places.
So the spirit obviously like attached himself or herself to him and followed him, possibly, because that can happen. You know, a lot of times you talk about these ghost hunters and, you know, mediums and people that are specialized in that sort of realm. They talk about, you know, if they come across like spirits that they like adamantly say like, you can't come with me, right? Like, you know, you don't come with me. And if they do, they do these rituals to like, you know, make sure that they detach whatever might come with them. Get them some sage. Well, bathe in some sage. I don't know.
So here's the crazy thing about this story, actually. I mean,
was
that's
it
crazy.
You?
No,
was that you that the spirit followed home?
So the crazy thing is, we went to that house in like 2010, 2011, never went back.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Jeez.
About a year and a half ago, my brother was being mentored by like a local, like friend of the family, you know, guy who has a business owner, whatever. And they were supposed to go to this get together, and my brother asked me if I could give him a ride, and I was like, okay. So I'm driving, and mind you, it's been like 9 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, why does this street seem familiar? I haven't been over here. Why is it familiar?
Were you going to the house? Stop it. Shut the front door.
And
You're
we
joking.
pulled up, and I called my cousin, and I was like, guess where I am right now? And he's like, where? What? I like told him. He's like, don't have him go in there. I'm like,
right.
And so I told my brother, and my brother was a really awkward situation because it was supposed to, like, he knew he was supposed to go, big deal, whatever. So I took him, and like, you know, he went in, but when I came home, it was really weird because my dad walks in, and I'm like pouring salt in front of the door.
Is that yeah.
He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, and I gave him, we never told my mom this, so actually I hope she doesn't listen to this episode. But
well, she canceled us, so
hey, yeah, so this episode specifically, you know, but yeah, it was this whole thing, and it was really weird because for a while after the fact, we never came to an actual consensus of whether it was the wind or something else, but there were multiple occasions where it sounded like somebody was trying the front door. And
did you have ring?
It would not have been as suspicious if the dog didn't react to it consistently. And so I'm like, maybe we just And the current owner says that place isn't haunted, never has been. But you know, when
Of
you own
course.
somewhere, you probably should say things like, you know,
Wow, that's
man.
crazy. They say that dogs see, the supernatural, that they see the ghosts. There's been one time got like a little thought going in my head that I was in my bathroom and my dog was like barking at this chair. It was a used chair that my husband had bought when we first moved down here because we didn't bring any furniture with us. We sold everything and we bought like our bed and our dining room table. And then people gave us stuff and then we bought used stuff, which side note on that, like be very careful about buying used stuff because there's attached energies and all kinds of stuff. And so I was like, what is she barking at? And I walked out of the bathroom and there's my dog. Her back is facing the bathroom and she's literally barking right at that damn chair. And I was like, get it. I was like dragging it out of the house. I was like, this is not staying. And my husband was so mad, but I'm like, no. And come to find out, that chair had belonged to a woman, like an elderly woman that used to sit in it all the time and eat popcorn and watch movies. And when we first got it, he told me about that, and I had to vacuum the chair out because there was still popcorn in it. So I swear to God, it was probably her. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, whenever there's stuff, like when people are giving stuff away for free, if it's like nice, I'm like, why?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful about that. I didn't even think about that. It's not even just about the supernatural. It's just about like the energy. Like everything is energy. And my oldest is like, oh yeah, man, peace out. Everything's energy. But I mean, really, everything is energy. It's science. And I'm not even educated in all of it, but like there's energy between us. There's energy between in everything, and energy gets stuck and it can attach to certain things. And so if you go and buy a mirror, and it's secondhand, it could have good energy, bad energy, or whatever, and you bring it into your home.
Yeah. I mean, I think
careful.
Going back to what you were saying about like not knowing everything.
I know nothing.
It's yeah, like none of us really know. It's always interesting because like we talked a few episodes ago about like astrology,
Yes.
zodiac stuff, astrology.
Yes.
Yeah. And people always talk about like the planets and how they affect us and stars and what have it.
The moon.
And the moon specifically, one of the most interesting things to me that like I've never really heard anybody try to refute, but I've never like seen any like scientific studies on it, is that like people will be like, well, if the moon affects the oceans and people are made predominantly of water, how can you make the assumption that the moon doesn't affect us?
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, I can't disprove that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that we don't know, and we will probably never know because there's not enough time.
Especially the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, going into like a little bit of voiceover stuff because I know that we've gone on our
Hey, yeah, I get it.
I took an ongoing class. Speaking of thinking that you think that you know something and then you end up in a place that like you're like, I know nothing, like I know nothing. And so I ended up last minute this morning signing up for an ongoing class because Denise was teaching it. I love Denise. She's the best. It had nothing to do with her coaching. It was all me. I all of a sudden, speaking of energy and like, not knowing or thinking that you know something and then you realize that you don't know enough. I just had this overwhelming sense that like I wanted to have an ongoing class. I'd missed it. I wanted to take one. I thought about taking Melissa's on Wednesday and it was booked. Even though that's way too late for me. But so this morning I woke up, I thought I'm going to follow my intuition and my gut is telling me I should take this class. So I brought my own scripts from real auditions that I had submitted this week. They were like 90% match. And people have done that before. So I thought, well, I'll give it a whirl. I'll give it a try. Normally I keep those for like one-on-ones.
Right.
And I got into class and I have to tell you, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it was the anxiety of my youngest child playing outside without me you know, and the neighbors were like, and then he went swimming over the neighbor's house, even though I know a grown up was there. And my other one was at a swim birthday party. I don't know if it was the energy of the people in the class, but I all of a sudden just smack, like out of nowhere, started having like, I had like anxiety, like an anxiety attack, like my heart was beating. And it could have been because I hadn't done a group class for a while. I recovered, and Lloyd knows because you've seen me in class before, like, and you've probably seen me react like this before, but I recovered, but then I don't know. It was just one of those things where I left class thinking I'm never bringing my own script again. I'm just going to go into an ongoing as if I'm going into an ongoing to enjoy the scripts they provide, you know, and learn, go at it like from a learning point of view and keep my own scripts for my one-on-one coaching sessions. And then I also left there thinking, I know nothing and I feel like I suck. You know what I'm saying? And I hate that.
So
Not to be Debbie Downer right now.
no, this is actually
I literally emailed Denise and said, everything that you said was spot on. It hit me to the core, you know, in terms of not like just the way that she was talking about her own experience, you know, and her journey. And I said to her then, I'm like, it has nothing to do with you. I just left the class feeling like I suck, you know, it had nothing to do with her. It was all me, you know. And the energy felt like everybody agreed with me that I sucked.
so one, you know,
What do you mean
suck,
in the class
just
or
had an
here?
off day.
What? What?
So you said everybody agree with you in the class?
Well, they didn't actually agree with me, but I felt like they did because I just felt like everyone was like, oof.
Yeah. So you had an
Okay, go
off
ahead.
day,
What?
and that happens to people.
Thank you, Gabby.
Don't do that.
I love teasing you.
So I'm annoyed you did that because I'm about to do something that I don't like to do.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We're serious.
No,
now.
you're okay.
Okay.
When I say that I say I'm angry and annoyed much more often than I'm actually angry or annoyed. You would know if I was actually angry.
I know.
But so I told you, you know, we're recording now on Saturdays because Frankie has his stuff on Sunday and so do I. And I don't know if I've actually said this while we were recording, but I'm taking, you know, improv classes on Sundays.
So cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And I really enjoy it. Like the people are great, teachers great. They're through Bleach Improv, which is a local group here. And one thing, this guy, the teacher, his name is Phil Kotler. And he always talks about how, like, with anything, but improv specifically is what he's referring to, is like it's all about reps, you know. So yeah, you're gonna be nervous and it's gonna happen a lot. And the only way to get past that is to be nervous and understand how to push through that after having done it over and over and over again, because you might suck a lot, but at least you'll get used to it and you can work through that. And it's interesting because this week I went to one of our requirements is that we see 2 shows locally. It doesn't matter who, but see 2 shows locally during our 8-week course. And I went to Bleach's this week. And so they have their actual show at I want to say 8:30, 8 or 8:30, I can't remember. But before that, they have a deal. It's like a jam. So like you go, and it's included in the price of the actual ticket, but you can go an hour early and everybody puts their name in a bowl and they like make up improv teams and those people perform. And this guy named Eric, who is in Bleach, sees me and he's like, "Are you gonna put your name in the bowl?" And I'm like, "Eric, why'd you ask me that?" Because we had this whole conversation in my class about if anybody went early and was going to participate, and there was this whole thing about how like I made the statement that like I would be annoyed if I went. I feel like taking the class, I would kind of feel obligated to put my name in the bowl, despite being uncomfortable and knowing that I was going to be with people of different experience levels, but particularly, you know, being nervous about being with people who are much more experienced than you, because you know you don't want it to like be obvious, right?
Right.
So I
Did you?
reluctantly put my name in the bowl, and they're
Yay.
going through and they're like calling names, and they're like, I'm just like, don't call my name, don't call my don't call my name, don't call my name, don't call my name. They call
Lloyd Waller.
names, and they don't call my name, and I'm like, oh God, thank God. And that group goes, and they're like, okay, time for our second group. Like, son of a bitch. They're calling names, and they call my fucking name.
Yes. Yes.
And one thing I mean, just as a side, one thing I really like about improv, and I don't know how this happens with other like creative, art forms, but one thing I like is that like there's always a check-in before, everybody, like they're like in the back rooms like, hey, I'm Lloyd, and like today I don't want to be hugged. Or like, for instance, there was one guy who like was having back problems and didn't want anybody to jump on his back.
Oh, okay.
People were like, oh, I don't want to
Set
be kissed.
boundaries.
Yeah, setting boundaries, which is, I think, is really cool to like be a normal thing to check in with people like that. But anyway, we went out, and it just so happened that like a couple of the people I with were experienced, and I'm like standing on the side, literally just like nervously doing stuff with my hands, and I let them go through a couple of like short scenarios, and I didn't do anything, and I was like, I can't be the person who just I cannot just stand here the whole time, like,
yeah.
And ultimately, see,
what'd you do?
Stop. I don't like attention. I went out, and I, was very uncomfortable, and I was very nervous, and I did it though.
Good.
And after the fact, I was like, I would have been more annoyed because I've done this in hindsight. I've done this a lot in my life where I'm in an opportunity to like step out, and then I just wait until I don't have that opportunity anymore. And not figuratively, like literally it'd be like, who wants to participate? And then like everybody goes and I don't go type situation.
Right.
And I was like, I can't let this be one of those situations. And I just kept hearing Phil in the back of my head, it's like, it's just reps. It's just reps. You need to get reps. And I think I did okay. I don't think it was like the best thing in the world. But the point is,
was there an audience?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Damn. Okay. All right. Yes.
Not a huge audience, but yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, they're all supportive, you know. And that's just, just like, that's one thing I love about like the arts, air quote, in general, is everybody, except evidently people who are like screen actors, every day they're super cutthroat, I keep hearing. But Frankie but like they're supportive, and they want people to do well and be able to express themselves and what have it. And so I mean, when you're doing ongoings and you're not doing well, better than during an audition, because you are absolutely going to be in a situation one day where you're in the middle of an audition and you feel anxious. But maybe if you've done that enough in practice, you can handle it better during an audition.
Yeah. I think part of that's a good point. I think I'm getting better and stronger every day from just auditioning every day. I'm not getting the number of auditions sent to me that I would like to, in order for the numbers game to work for me, in order to get the bookings that I'd like. So I've got to solve that mystery on some of the pay to play sites that I'm working on it. But so that's one frustrating factor. But I think for me, it's like, I just hadn't been to an ongoing for forever. And I used to go there weekly. And so with anything new, there's always that element. It surprised me. Like, I wasn't prepared for it, and it snuck up on me. And I am a little bit empathic. I don't know. I mean, I'm discovering this like later in life and labeling it a little bit, but like I regularly walk into rooms and feel things and have to like check myself and say like, okay, is this me? Is this my feeling? Or is this somebody else's feeling? Is this a combination? And so it just kind of was like smacked me upside the head a little bit. And I was not like I signed up for class that this morning, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't like I was like on the whim, you know me, I'm kind of spontaneous every once in a while. Like I get a thought in my head and then I'm like, I'm doing it, you know? So,
Mhm.
so I don't know what it was, but you're right. Um, I, it's really, yeah. I mean, this like launches into like our next conversation. Hopefully will come up next week about like, you know, the struggle bus stuff and like just staying in a good zone, you know, and we can talk more about that next week when everybody more, you know, when Gabby's here and hopefully Angela can come. But like it's doing something over and over and over again is so super important, you know. And I forgot what it was like to go to class, you know, and to be in a group setting and to be around a group of people. I think part of the other problem is I didn't really know anybody.
In the class.
Yeah. Nope. But Denise said some things that just really resonated with me. She was like, there was a point in my career where I was auditioning and I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing. And she just kind of threw everything out the window and just started having fun. She probably heard this before. And
Yeah, because
I'm,
she used to work in the building I work in.
but also in voiceover too, you know, like
Mhm.
she was saying like she felt like she was being too serious and she wasn't doing what she, you know, and she's just like, I just said, whatever, like, F it. I'm not going to quote her. I'm just
Right.
generalizing, but that's where I'm at right now. You know, I need to make a significant change. I need to just say, F it, you know, and I'm starting to do that. I did book a second job on
Nice.
Voices.
Ooh,
So, you know, money's
I like
money.
it.
Woohoo. But, you know, I need more regular bookings from the pay to play sites. But
Yeah.
that whole landscape is changing too. So, you know, it's yeah, it's difficult, you know, and we can talk more about that next week, but it's hard, you know, it's hard. It's just hard. I'm so proud of you for getting out there and doing improv. I need to do improv.
Thank you. It's,
Frankie needs to do improv too. He's not talking, especially with acting. Think about that. There's a huge difference between sitting in the audience and being on the stage, right? There's a huge difference between being behind the microphone in your booth and then being on camera with a group of people. There's a big difference, you know, taking classes and then getting out there in the real life and doing the real stuff, you know? So I feel like I'm taking acting classes too. And I just got bumped up from beginner to essentials. So I'm actually made my acting resume and I'm getting headshots done. So that's, you know, an exclusive. I just
nice.
kidding.
It's good though. It's cool.
Exclusively shared with just you two tonight.
You know what's you know what we're
So dumb. I just so dumb.
Hey, we love it. So you know what's funny is, and we'll talk about this next
week. Yeah,
for sure, because I had a very long conversation with one of our friends who's in our group chat, who's not part of the podcast,
the social group. Yeah.
And I know you've talked to this person because we were talking about like they were talked about how they had talked to you. This person and I generally have similar sentiments because we work for the same organization.
Yes.
But it was a very
she's my favorite.
It was, yeah, she's great.
One of my favorites.
Won't believe it.
You two are my other
need
favorites.
Her to believe it. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you.
Just throwing it out there.
But this person and I had a long, hard conversation about, just where both of our minds were. And I think one thing that was really good for me this week is I texted one of my friends and I was like, hey, I don't know if I told you did I tell you I was taking an improv class? And they were like, no, but I'm at the point where I just assume you're continuing on in your education of those things. And I was like, that's like weirdly such a compliment for me because it's just like, because this person who I hadn't really updated on like the things I'm doing to grow just made the assumption that I am doing things to grow. And for me, I'm always rationalizing that I could and should be doing more. So for someone, outwardly to be not surprised that I am doing more than they expected was like a cool thing. And it was encouraging in a way that I did not expect because I was not in a good mood when I was texting them. And I was like, oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, you got to take the wins when you can take them. Because, sometimes when you have a down moment, like my ongoing,
yeah, I get it.
It can rattle you. I went for a walk to shake off the bad vibes I was vibing, and then my dog made me mad, and so that was counterproductive. That didn't help. But so,
well, my friends gave up on me. Just putting that out there.
Your what?
My friends have given up on me. My friends from back home, because I've moved here to like do something, right? So a friend of mine, like I would say like a year ago, says something to me like, why don't you just move home? Like you moved out there to do stuff and you've done none of it. That was like she just punched me in the face. Like honestly, I felt so terrible after that. Yeah, so it's nice to have friends who can see like the growth and just kind of expect that that you are in it, instead of having everybody doubting you.
Yeah, if you don't have nice things to say, don't say them. Like it's not hard to like if you like really though, like if you don't think that someone's gonna do well, you don't have to tell them that. You're not helping.
Right. Exactly. Like don't give unsolicited advice. It wasn't like, no, thank you. Yeah. You're doing great, Frankie. You're doing awesome. And sometimes
you're doing
maybe
great, sweetie.
You're doing great. I love it. I love what you're doing.
This is a little petty, but I hope one day you win an award and you'd be like, shout out to this person told me I should just move home. I love you, but you really pissed me off.
And that's going to be your award speech.
Yes.
And we will be at the table in the audience supporting you. That would be so cool. I have the chills. That would be so fun.
Yeah. But I did want to talk about like class and like going to class. And when you're doing something you love, like my class tomorrow got canceled. The one last week got canceled and I miss it so much. It's like I feel so disconnected.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I have that thing where I feel like I need to be doing stuff. Like, because if I'm not doing stuff, then I'm like failing. That thing that Lloyd was talking about. But also I think I see the importance of like having community outside of class, which is kind of what we did here with like voiceover, but I'm trying to do that in this class. And for me, it's not the easiest to like reach out to people.
I get that.
Like there's this woman in class who I like have great scenes with and she's fun and like we've kind of connected. But I'm always afraid. There's so many things that I'm like afraid of. Like I'm a guy and like I don't want to be reaching out to a woman and she, it's going to be like, she doesn't know me all that well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's going to be receptive or whatnot. But I did. She friended me on Facebook. So I like sent her a message. And I'm like, hey, because when classes were getting canceled, I was like, hey, we're probably not going to see each other for a while. We just wanted to say hello.
Yeah.
And she didn't reply.
Oh.
I mean, but she did. Like it took her 2 days to reply, but she did reply after.
Yeah.
But those 2 days, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
No, you totally should have done that. Do you know how many times I don't see messages? Like there's messages on Instagram, there's messages on Facebook, there's messages on like WhatsApp, like there's so many messages everywhere, going back to the overwhelm of so much stuff that I don't know about, that so much stuff is happening all the time.
Right.
So I wouldn't, if it like 6 months went by and you just saw her in class and she didn't respond.
It would have been a really awkward class.
That would have been a little
but it's
weird.
like, they always say like hang out with people who are like doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Or people who are like,
Yeah.
So maybe like you can hang out with some
improv
of the improv people.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because once again, I'm an introvert, as we've talked about, the past 2 episodes.
Apparently I'm the only extrovert in the group.
Right now,
it's okay. We love that.
No, in general, I guess. The whole group.
Well, yeah, the only one on your test that got extrovert.
True. That's true.
From the personality test. Anyway, sorry, Lloyd, I keep interrupting you. What?
So, well, I was telling somebody earlier this week that like I'm very much an introvert, but I force myself to be in spaces with people, even though I don't necessarily always like it. I know that ultimately it's good for me to have those interactions with people.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, with voiceover, obviously we have this group, but like a lot of me meeting the people in this group was like, oh, I've seen you in classes a couple times. I'm going to message you, you
Yeah.
know, in the Zoom, you know, and that ended up growing into, you know, you guys inviting me to join the group.
Yeah.
And, you know, or there was someone who I'd seen in a couple of ongoings, and they, you know, are really, really good. And like I complimented their shoes at one point. And then they're like, hey, you know, we should, like, do you have Discord? We should hang out. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And it ended up like they have like a VO, like a Vegas, for like a small Discord for like people who are doing VO in Vegas,
Oh, that's
you
cool.
know. And like we've gone, like we went to, there's a place here called Player One Bar, which is like a Player One Vegas, which is like a video game bar at the, on like Wednesdays. They have like Weep Wednesdays, which is like anime nights. You know, gone out with them. And so like, or one of the people in my beginning class, they are an opera singer slash burlesque dancer slash so many things. And they randomly invited people from our class to go to, you know, one of their like opera things last summer. And I was like, I'm just going to go to support this person who's in my, you know, beginner's class, you know. And since then, you know, I was the only person to go when
That's
they
cool.
invited people. And since then they've invited me to other things.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just putting yourself out there. Like obviously you don't have to be around these people all the time, because you know I would go crazy if I was. I love them, but like God, I need to be at home.
You need to recharge. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
the energy
yeah.
thing again, you know.
But it's very important to be able to build in that way. Also because like not just because it's good growth wise, but also because despite everyone having different problems and struggles, when you're doing stuff with people who are doing what you want to be doing, they understand where you're coming from on a way that on a level that a lot of other people don't. You know,
Totally.
so it's very important because, you know, sometimes, you know, and you know,
We are artists.
yeah,
We're
just
artists. You need to
having
be a
people
yeah.
having people who are like who have different perspectives but can also empathize
Yeah.
with, you know, where you're coming from and where you want to go.
Yeah. Networking is also key, you know, consistency
Yeah.
and networking and just like, you know, being able to reach out and connect with people that are also positively empowering you and positively impacting you and
Right.
disconnecting yourself from the negative people like that one friend of yours, Frankie. And by the way, Discord is another platform that I cannot think about. My brain cannot even wrap around it. And Clubhouse, forget it. Like I am like over it. Like I am over all of it. Like,
I just want to say,
there's
like,
too many places.
Clubhouse, I get. Discord is
Well, I'm not a
super.
gamer.
No, but Discord is, you don't have to use Discord for gaming. Like my mom is in like a leadership group here in Vegas, and they started a Discord, and I'm like, what? And so
Seriously?
they use, yeah, it's not a gaming app exclusive. Like it's meant for like gamers to connect,
Yeah.
but it's like WhatsApp. Like it's legitimately you can use it just for messaging.
I've seen people posting, especially in animation and character, specifically saying, you know, it's on my Discord. Like you have to be able to record through Discord. I'm like, skip. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
have the time or space or mental capacity to be able to figure it out.
it's literally like WhatsApp. Like you would figure it out in like a day.
It took me a little bit
Like,
to figure out WhatsApp too.
yeah, but you've already done WhatsApp. You're familiar with WhatsApp now.
Yes, I am. But isn't Discord video?
It doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay.
It's there's option for like video calls or, you know, audio calls, just like, you know, you have with Discord or Zoom or what have you. It's really intuitive, honestly.
I think that with all the new things that keep coming up, it's just a matter of like whether or not you have the space to be able to figure it out, or let alone just have the time to learn it. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Can I screen
Denise,
share?
you can, but she touched on this, and we can wrap on this like really quickly. Our coach Denise, she touched on this. She's like, I don't have time to learn a whole new DAW. Twisted Wave works for me. It's super simple. I try to work with Audacity. It's too complicated and I don't have the time or space. I need to focus on my voice work, right? And working on my clients, my established clients. And that made sense to me. Like there's so much out there that like, if Twitter doesn't work for me, I'm not doing it. Am I set up on there? Yes. You know, like if LinkedIn is a headache, like I'm set up, but I'm not really putting my time and energy there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's not about not being able to figure out how to use these platforms. It's about I have other things to do.
That's absolutely valid.
Yeah.
But I would like to respond with that and respond to that and say that it doesn't hurt to try something out and see if maybe that works better for you than the things that you're already using.
I feel
And
like
if you don't like it, you can always just not do it.
That's true.
You know, same
That's
with
true.
Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn.
Yeah, I did do that with most of those that you just mentioned. I'm gonna pause so that you can share with us. And I feel like you missed your calling, Lloyd, because I felt like you were gonna be like, objection,
Oh my god.
overruled. Like I feel like you could have been a lawyer. You always like have like a counterpoint. That's not
Yeah.
bad. It's not a bad thing. Am I
Who
wrong?
knows? I don't know.
Okay.
My brain is weird. Also, I'm sleepy, and I mean, people. I've always. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's good or bad. I have just a habit of always having something to say.
That's good. That's good. We like to hear what you have to say.